Hey, Dude Nation. Welcome to the Dude, Who Are You and What Do You Do podcast. This is Ed Rossich, your sleep-deprived CEO. Just off a trip welcoming a batch of new dudes out in Washington State, dealing with the acquisition that we did out there. Welcome to those new dudes, and hopefully this will be the first time they listen to this episode. So anyways, we've got a great guest here, Drew. Drew, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We're glad to have you here. A little bit of a background. Drew and I had dinner probably in the first week that I was with the dude, with he and the finance team, and he's got a great story. He's been on TV.
I have.
Tell Dude Nation about being on TV.
I have. So in my prior life, I worked for an accounting firm, and as part of that, I got to move abroad. I ended up living in New Zealand for a few years. And as part of that, when we moved over, we really wanted to, experience the whole thing. So we signed up, my wife and I, being we, signed up for House Hunters International, and we got to kind of experience the whole process of moving abroad and finding a new apartment and everything that comes with it. So it was interesting.
It's awesome. And what one thing did you take away, from that experience that you think Dude Nation would be interested in hearing?
I would say I'm pretty sure I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I would say that it's TV is definitely TV. It's definitely a production, and I watch those shows with a much different lens now. But come find me in my office if you want to hear some more details, and I can tell you all the cool stuff that you learn behind the scenes on those shows.
Awesome. First person I've actually ever met with that wasn't a celebrity. It was actually on TV, so that's sort of cool. So, Drew, what do you do for us?
So I am the corporate controller, which means I basically work in the accounting department. Anything that goes through accounting, I try to have my hand in or have the pulse on. So if you have any questions about accounting or you need help with anything, usually myself or someone on my team can help with that.
And how long you been a dude?
So I started on August 14th, 2017, so 8 months, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're a new dude.
Relatively new.
What brought you here?
So like I said, I was working in public accounting. I'd been doing that for about 10 years, and I was looking for just a different change of pace and something where I could really sink my teeth into, and instead of focusing on a number of different clients, just really honing in and kind of becoming a specialist in one client or industry. So I talked with my wife. We talked about what would be the best for our family, and started on what ended up being about a 9-month journey to find the right opportunity. So when the dude came along, it was definitely the right one.
Awesome. What did you see about the dude? I'm sure you had plenty of opportunities to look at. What did you see about the dude that made you want to join?
Yeah. So throughout the journey, I'll call it a journey. Throughout the process in the journey, I was looking for obviously the locale. Where is it? I live in Raleigh, so I want something nearby. But then I was really looking for culture, for a growing industry, and then just what would be the right opportunity for the stage I am in my career. And there were other opportunities that came up. Nothing seemed to be really the right fit until a long shot came up. I didn't really think I even had a shot, and maybe I was discounting myself a little bit, but when I heard about the dude, I said, this thing sounds like it could be awesome. It could be a great fit for me, and hopefully I'd be a good fit for the company. And then once I got into the interview process, it kind of snowballed from there, and I just felt more and more confident about it. And luckily I'm here, so it worked out.
That's awesome. So, I'm always fascinated by, I'll use the word you use, journeys that people take to get into their careers. Often when kids are growing up, they want to be an astronaut, a football player, a ballerina, whatever. Not a lot of kids are saying, when I grow up, I want to be an accountant. How did you get here?
Yeah, so I don't think I ever said when I was a kid that I wanted to be an accountant. I don't think anybody has ever said they want to be an accountant.
That'd be a little weird, I think.
But yeah, it was one of those things. My dad's an accountant, so maybe some of that kind of transmitted into me. But I think I just gravitated towards it when I got into college. I knew that I wanted to do something in business. So I went into the business school, kind of an open mind, took a little bit, kind of different classes in different areas, and accounting just clicked. And I don't know if it's, I've never been diagnosed with OCD, but I feel like I'm a little OCD. I love the debit and credit nature and the balance of accounting that just really drew me into it. And then, once I took my first class, it was the highest grade that I got. So I was like, all right, I got to do this thing, and kind of went full force into accounting.
Yeah, you sort of stole my my next question, which is, what do you enjoy about it? It sounds like you really love that technical piece of accounting and making it all sort of match up.
For sure. Yeah, I like it. A lot of people think it's boring, and to some people it is very boring.
Not lots, most.
Yeah, most people think it's boring. But yeah, the balance of it, and also it's a little bit, it's a lot science, it's a little art. I mean, obviously there's math involved, but there's a lot of technical things that you can sink your teeth into that don't happen every day. That we're going through some of them right now. That's the fun stuff where you really get to think, and it's not necessarily just right and wrong or black and white. There's a lot of in betweens that you have to make a judgment call, and that's just the fun stuff where you get to put your stamp on it.
Yeah. What part of the job isn't so fun to you when you look at what you do as a controller? Like, you see it on your to-do list that morning, you're like, oh crap, I gotta do that today. What is that for you?
Yeah, I don't know. When dealing with a company that's growing so fast, and we're growing at a fairly fast clip right now, there's a lot of systems that need to talk with one another, and sometimes our systems can't catch up with how fast we're growing.
Right.
So there are some manual pieces, especially when it comes to expense reports and invoice approvals and things like that we've started to really work out and get them automated. But that's the part of the day when it comes down to it, I'm like, oh man, I know I have to do it, but it's not my favorite part of the day. But I think everybody's been working really well together. We've been able to put in some new systems that have helped automate a few things, and I think it's only going to get better. So hopefully, those pain points will soon become just, something that we'll forget about, and it'll be nice and automated, and something that just does itself.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. When you think about over the last 8 months, you and your team, one big sort of hang on your refrigerator with a gold star on it moment, what's that been for your team over the last 8 months?
I think there's a few, but I think one of the big ones was getting AvidXchange implemented. So it's our invoice approval workflow system that kind of takes an invoice from a vendor all the way through the dude process and then into our general ledger, so that we can get it paid. It was something that used to be 100% manual, and we'd be tracking people down and trying to get manual signatures and things like that. And now it just kind of automates the whole thing, so it almost runs itself. And to get that implemented and get people trained, and then to date, we haven't paid any money for it because we use it so much, we actually get rebates back, and the rebates have offset the cost. So Not only has it been like a great streamlining thing for the business, but we're actually making money off of it. So it's been kind of a win for everybody. I mean, very small amount of money, but
if you can negotiate a deal like that for my next car, I really appreciate it. I'll put a ton of miles on it, and the company,
and they'll pay you for it.
Pay me for it. Yeah, I should have you negotiate. That's really interesting. As you look out over the next 12 months for you and your teams, or a key project you guys are working on that you'd like Dude Nation to know about?
I think the big one for the next, maybe everybody always talks about 30, 60, 90 days. I think that's going to be integrating with our new West Coast office and making sure that we're getting everyone on the same systems, and we're getting the accounting right, and making sure that we have the correct reporting for all the stakeholders involved. And then outside of that, it's just continue to streamline and scale, so that if this business is going to go where we think it's going to go, accounting's got to be able to go with it. So
no, absolutely. Now, you have two very distinct wardrobe trends that I'm not sure the rest of Dude Nation would see unless they're up here on the 4th floor. Let's start with your holiday wardrobe. Tell Dude Nation about that.
Yes. So if anything, I love a good excuse to get dressed up or do something a little bit different. So in the holiday season, for me, I think I started it on November 3rd this year, because I'd like to get the holidays started a little bit earlier. Holiday Sweater Thursdays. So wear your craziest holiday sweater that you can find every Thursday. They get increasingly crazier.
I can vouch for this. I've seen Drew walking around with some pretty crazy
bells, lights, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's fun, and it just kind of breaks up the normal, wearing the same thing every day. And then now that it's a little bit warmer, I've gone into Hawaiian Shirt Fridays. So I encourage anybody, anybody to join in. It's not just a me thing. I'd like anybody who wants to join to be a part of it. I mentioned it to our West Coast office just today if they want to get involved in it. And I'm going to start keeping some in my office. So if anybody comes in and says, "Oh, I forgot," then I'll have one that you can wear just in case.
I can vouch that Drew's Hawaiian shirt collection is maybe the cheesiest Hawaiian shirt collection that I've ever seen. And
Yes.
Hawaiian shirts being natively cheesy in amongst themselves. So he takes it to a new level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Special hobbies? Any cool hobbies or superpowers?
Hobbies. I used to have a lot. Right now, I'm consumed a lot with. I've got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and then something that not many people know but is public now. I've got a baby girl on the way that's due in October.
Congratulations!
So
cool.
Thanks. So family's my hobby right now.
Yeah.
But in a prior life, loved to surf. Love to stand up paddleboard, anything in the water. If I get time and I can do it, I will go do it. But haven't had that much time lately with the kids. And traveling. We used to travel a ton. My wife and I think we've been. I know at least for me, I've been to 35 countries.
35 countries.
Yeah, 33 states. I really want to get to all the states. I'm trying to get to every continent if I can, but. All that's kind of on pause right now. Focus on the kiddos while they're young and then get back to traveling.
What's the most memorable travel experience you had? 35 countries.
Yeah, I don't know. The most memorable, I have to default to New Zealand. We lived there, so I feel like you're drawn somewhere when you've actually spent a lot of time there. So we lived in New Zealand for just under 2 years. I loved it. It's so diverse. It's a great place. There's so many different things to do there and see. I would say that was probably just my favorite life, work, all-around experience.
Awesome. That's very cool. Well, we typically turn the microphone over to the folks we're interviewing for these podcasts on a biweekly basis. So what kind of questions do you have for me?
So mine are more on the lighter side, but
okay.
Coolest place you've ever traveled?
I would say the coolest place I've traveled is Alaska. Had a great experience up there where we took pontoon planes and hung out on glaciers and had salmon bakes and all that. It's if you've never been to Alaska, it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. So I think that would be the most awesome place I've been.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have not been. It's one of the states I have not been to.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Definitely on my list.
Yeah, it's definitely worth going up there.
Great. I know you're an avid runner. Outside of that, favorite hobby?
I would say reading. I read 50 books a year. I've got like 5 books started right now, and I'm well ahead of my pace for the year. So I'd say that's a good hobby. I've got a vineyard out in Mendocino, California that I've started. Now I'm just writing checks as a hobby for that instead of actually tending the vines since I'm out here in North Carolina. But that takes up some time. And,
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a bucket list, but number one experience that you'd like to do on a bucket list, like skydiving or anything crazy?
Wow, that is a great question. I actually, I pretty much live my bucket list, so I don't have, I think going to, not just because you're here, I think going to like New Zealand and Australia would be a great experience that I'd like to do. I'd like to actually, there's a marathon on the Great Wall of China that I think would be a cool experience, so maybe that's on the list. I think the last thing, I tried to run across the U.S. 3 or 4 years ago, and if I ever get a chance to try that again, I think that's on my bucket list of experiences, to get across the U.S. within 100 days on foot.
Cool. Wow. I don't think I could even run across the street right now, so that's commendable. Last one I got. Will you wear a Hawaiian shirt if I had a Hawaiian shirt for you to wear?
Drew, since you asked me nice, I will, this very coming Thursday, because I don't own a Hawaiian shirt, I will take it up out of the Drew collection.
All right.
And wear a Hawaiian shirt on Thursday.
I'm going to bring one in. We switched it to Fridays. I've switched it to Fridays.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
And you did. It was originally on Thursdays, right?
It was originally on Thursdays because everybody on the fourth floor wears jerseys on Friday.
That's right.
But now that we're outside of football season, there's a lack of jerseys, so I moved Hawaiian shirt to Friday to try and get more people on board since it's closer to the weekend. So yeah, I'll
Very
bring
cool.
I'll
So
bring
do
in
that.
some wacky ones.
Just I would bring in the wackiest one. I don't care. I'll do it. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you and what your team do. It's one of the sort of what I call dial tone jobs in the building. You don't really realize all the stuff that's going on and that it's working. But it's like dial tone. If you pick up the phone and you don't hear the dial tone, it's a no shit moment. You guys make the dial tone stay steady. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very cool. Thanks. So thanks for tuning in, Dude Nation. Stay tuned for another episode in a couple of weeks. Signing off.